Hey, comic book fans, welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0. And guys, welcome to another countdown. And today we're going to be doing Countdown episode number 77. That's right, fans. This is the show where Mike Spider Slayer counts down his least favorite comic of the week all the way down to book number 1. That's right, guys. And today we have 12 comics to talk about. 11 of them are physical copies, one is a digital copy, and let's get started. So now there was no real bad comics this week, which is a good thing, but there was lots of great comics. It was hard to decide what my favorite book of the week was going to be. But before we get there, let's start with number 12. And number 12 was Future's End, issue number 22. There was lots of things that I didn't like about this book. And first of all, it was some of the characters that were in here. First off, we talk about Jason, who is the other half of Firestorm, winds up meeting back with his professor. And his professor hates the Justice League because he continuously thinks that the Justice League is bad because they hold technology that they have that can possibly save the world. And that's pretty much the first part of this story. You get to see one page here that focuses on Tim Drake. That's all you really see that happens there. And then you get to see another couple of pages that has to do with Voodoo. We haven't seen her at all, hardly in this entire series, but she throws some people out the window. She has this group that she works with, and you're like, okay, whatever. You know, I don't know what her point in this series really is, and it's really frustrating. So I don't like her in the book. And then you get to see Grifter's little sidekick, who obviously he left behind, and he's doing research on these girls, and you're like, okay, whatever. The only thing that really meant any significance in this particular part of the issue was Plastique and Terry McGinnis talking with each other about what the world is going to be like 30 years from now. And he gives them a description of what on what Brother's Eye is, what has it become, and what's going to happen to the world. And we know that Plastique doesn't want to do anything with that. She wants to help Terry as much as she possibly can because she saw herself. And then at the end of the issue, you wind up seeing what's going on with Stormwatch, the engineer, and you wind up finding out that we got this big-ass weird creature on this moon that's controlling everything else that's going on, and that Black Adam has made himself out of that little wormhole that they were in, and looks like he's coming to aid them. So after reading this issue, I was kind of like, okay, nothing has progressed really at all in this story once again, and it was a frustrating issue because there was a lot of characters in here that I really didn't care about. So I gave this one a 3 out of 5. Artwork is back to, I guess, the regular artist or whatever it is, but this one seemed a little bit more consistent on the art side. All right, so next we're going to go on to number 11, and number 11 was Grim Fairy Tales issue number, or it's not an issue, it's a Halloween special. Now, for you guys that know I like Zenescope Entertainment, you might wonder, why, Mike, is this so far down on your list? And not necessarily that it was a bad story. It's a good story. However, there was much better comics out there this week. And second of all, the price point of this book. There is no other company out there, really, that is charging $6 for its comics. And usually when they charge you $5 for a comic, Marvel, it's for a major event, something that's happening in the universe. This is just a Halloween special to celebrate the holiday. And not only do they charge you $5, they're charging you $6. And you're not getting quite the double amount of pages that a double issue would provide to charge that $3 up price. You get 35 pages here of story, which is up from its standard 22, but I would love to see 44. And you don't get that, and that kind of frustrates me here. And in this particular book, I get that it's a Halloween special, and it focuses on the new kids of the Grim Fairy Tales, which is the kids that are at the school that have this Halloween party. And there's these creepy stories being told, and they wind up going to this cemetery because the cemetery that's right next door seems to be haunted. So it piques their curiosity. They feel that this party was lame, and they want to go check out this place. and see how haunted it really is. And they wind up doing that, and they wind up getting attacked by these creatures, and you wind up seeing that they wind up getting in trouble, and you wind up seeing Aladdin and Sky trying to save the day here. The thing that got me about this issue, it was very similar to issue number 102 with Grimm Fairy Tales, when they released the genie and they experienced all the things that they want. Here, they experiencing all the things that they fear. Now, this is a good character development type of thing, but the issue had a very similar feel, which I felt like, did we need to do this right after we saw the genie issue? And being that Grimm Fairy Tales is a very type of style book that has that horror feel to it in a way, or that creepy feel, I didn't feel scared or creeped out in any way, shape, or form. So that's why this book got a 3 out of 5 for me, because I just felt that I was a little disappointed with it. I felt they could have done a better job of bringing that creepy eeriness feeling to it, especially being a Halloween issue here. So again, I gave this one a 3 out of 5. Just not worth the $6 in my opinion. It just felt like a normal issue to me. All right, moving on to the top 10. And number 10 this week was Spider-Man 2099, issue number 4. Again, a little bit lower on the list this week, but again, there was lots of great comics out here. I gave this one a 3.5 out of 5 stars. In this issue, you get to see the conclusion of Tiberius and Miguel doing the deal with these spider slayers and selling them to a country that is going to provide war. And in this issue, you get to see a lot of battle, which is a lot of action between Scorpion and Miguel. I like the artwork in this series. However, Scorpion just doesn't fit my taste the way he's drawn in here. I don't think this is the way I'm used to seeing him. He's even been drawn better, in my opinion, in The Amazing Spider-Man. But we get to see a whole lot of action between these Spider Slayers, and we get to see what happens with Tipper Stone, how he actually almost dies in this particular issue. And he kind of has a second, he has an epiphany about this, how he shouldn't sell these actual Spider Slayers here. And we get to see a real crafty way of how Miguel O'Hara winds up defeating the Scorpion, and he winds up putting his little watch of Layla on there and winds up having the Scorpion pose as Spider-Man so the Spider Slayers can take him out. I thought that was a pretty crafty way of Miguel to stop the Scorpion. And again, at the end of the issue, you wind up seeing Tipper Stone have a change of heart, not selling his Spider Slayers. And if this guy wants to disagree, in 1 hour's time, those Spider Slayers are going to attack him. I thought the funniest thing of the issue was that Matt Cargan was in the actual car with Miguel O'Hara, and Matt is sitting there, Cargan, saying, have we met before? Miguel's like, no. You sure? And he's like, yep. After they just done this huge-ass battle, I thought that was pretty good. Solid issue, good issue. Gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Just not quite to the par of these other books that were out there this week. So that was that. So that was number 10. So now we go on to number 9. Number 9 was Fantastic Four Annual, issue number 1. If you guys have not heard, it is official that the Fantastic Four series is canceled. It is officially canceled. If you guys want to check out that article, you can check out, I think I read something on it on, was it CBR or, I think it might have been CBR. I'm not 100% sure there, but, or Bleeding Cool, you could check that out and see where it was at. But it is being officially canceled. You guys can leave me your comments below what you think of the Fantastic Four being canceled. This issue focuses on Sue Storm going after Val. She's been staying at her uncle's house. Kingdom, I guess you want to say that. And we get to see Dr. Doom is doing really well. He wants to do good. And Sue Storm kind of comes barging in the place and demands Val coming in and going with her. She tells her the story that, everything's been taken away from her. You don't need to stay with him anymore. And she wants to stay with her uncle to make sure he's okay and he's doing the right thing. And she demands to stay here. And it was interesting to see that Sue gets so angry that she starts threatening Val, and she starts threatening Doctor Doom, and they wind up doing this whole huge battle here. And we get to see Doctor Doom really trying to protect Val to do the right thing. Doesn't want to see the violence, doesn't want to see the anger. And we wind up finding out that Doctor Doom says that Sue Storm is possessed by something else, that she is not herself. This book had lots of action, had really great artwork, cool story to see how this Fantastic Four continues to fall apart. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun read. It was a good annual. I thought, again, it was $5. However, I can say that I got my $5 worth of story here. I thought it was really well done, and I like seeing Doctor Doom in an issue, and I like to see him actually use his powers and how strong his magic really is. And it was interesting to see Val go against her own mother in this particular issue, how she refuses to go with her. So it was really good character moments in this book, and interesting stuff. So I gave this one a 3.5 out of 5 stars as well. All right. Going forward now, we're going on to, I think, number 8. I didn't do a sheet this week, so bear with me here, guys. We're going to go on to number 8, I'm pretty sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, number 8. And number 8 this week is Justice League issue number 34. This book continues off of the whole Jessica Cruz dealing with her power ring, and how she has to contain it from being power ring. We can't let the ring overpower her. We can't let great fear take over control of her, because then that's when shit hits the fan. That's basically what this issue is about. And you get to see there good moments, character moments there between Flash and Jessica. And then you get to see some other moments here with Captain Cold, how he's working with Lex Luthor, how he's being his personal bodyguard, I guess, and Mirror Master winds up coming in there and going, what are you doing, you know? And we kind of get to see that there's hints here that Captain Cold is just kind of toying with Lex. You kind of get to see hints there with the Rogue, so it's interesting there. I don't like the artwork in this particular issue. I thought this issue was kind of weird artwork. It was kind of almost too light for what the Justice League is. I just didn't. It just was awkward at times. Cool character moment here between Cyborg and Shazam. I thought that was really neat. I hope these two really, excuse me, grow together as time goes on with this book. Again, we talked about the Flash and the Cyborg, Flash and the and Jessica Cruz thing, and then we get to see Lex Luthor come into grips of, you know, who his new self is and how not to be in it for himself but be for it for others, and just embrace the moment. So which I thought was good character moments there. And here in this Justice League issue, you get to see Bruce and you get to see Lex wind up combining their companies, which pushes forward to the Green Arrow issue, which I thought was interesting as well. And you get to see moments in there also. So lots of crazy stuff that happened in this issue. Also, you get to see at the very end, we wind up seeing that Owlman is in here, wants to do business with Lex Luthor so he can get Superwoman's baby. So really crazy cliffhangers in this issue. Really, really good. I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. Really what drew this one down was the artwork. I didn't like the artwork here, but Jeff Johns always tells a great story. All right, so we're going to go on. We're going to go on to number 7. And number 7 was March to Access, Uncanny Avengers, issue number 25. I haven't read Uncanny Avengers since issue 2, so I'm a little bit off on this series, so I'm not too familiar with what's going on here. But from what I've read, this was a really interesting issue of the Red Skull having captured, which looks like Scarlet Witch and Rogue and Havoc. And we get to see Magneto is basically at his mercy. And he forces Magneto to go down on his knees, and he'll spare Scarlet Witch's life. And but all of a sudden, you wind up seeing Magneto gets the upper hand by throwing this crowbar at him and whatnot, and then all of a sudden he releases his control from all the other X-Men here, and you get to see this whole battle erupt. So there's lots of action going on between these S-Men and the Uncanny X-Men, and we wind up seeing Magneto losing control because you get to see what Red Skull is doing to these people or to these mutants or whatnot. And he winds up losing control, and he winds up tying up Scarlet Witch. He winds up just breaking control, and you see him take control over Red Skull. He just starts beating him up to a pulp, starts pounding his face, destroys his helmet, just takes him out. Scarlet Witch is like, stop, stop, don't do it. And he winds up sitting there grabbing this big hunk of metal and just blap, right, sits there right on his face. And you're just like, damn. You're just like, oh, Red Skull is dead, you know, and you're reading it and you're just like, it can't be. He's not dead. And, you know, Rogue has good character moments there with him saying, you're no better of a monster than he is on what you have just done. And it was just like, oh my God. And then finally, there's this mystical, magical thing that happens, and you get to see Red Skull becomes Onslaught. Now, I don't know how that happened. If you guys can leave me comments below on how that happened or why that has happened, I would love to know because, again, I haven't read much of this series. What is the power that caused him to resurrect himself to make him become Onslaught? So I kind of want to know that there. But I really enjoyed this issue. I liked it. The artwork was a little bit off for me. It seemed stiff at times, but it was a good story. Lots of action. Really enjoyed it. Gave it a 4 out of 5. All right, so going on now. We're going to go on to, I think, number 7. 1, 3, 4, 5. No, number 6. Number 6. Yes, number 6. And number 6 was Thor, issue number 1. Now, really liked Thor. I thought it was probably about a 4.5 type of book. And I loved how the story continues off of Thor still being on the moon, still trying to get his hammer. He hasn't eaten for weeks, days. All he thinks about is this particular hammer. And we get to see all the characters here. We get to see Odin here. We get to see everyone just talking with Thor. And you think that Odin can hold the hammer or whatnot, and he can't even get control of it. And you're just wondering, well, who's going to get control of this hammer throughout the entire issue? We wind up seeing in here as well that Malachi is here, and Thor has to do battle with Malachi. He eventually comes to terms that he has to leave the hammer alone. He winds up grabbing his axe, and let's just say that these frost giants were involved. Malachi was involved, and Thor's at a weakened state, and it looks like he gets his arm chopped off at the end of the issue. Not sure, but by the time we get to the end of it, we wind up seeing that the hammer starts coming to life, and it's witnessed a S on there, and it says, she be worthy shall possess the power of Thor. And we get to see this. So you're still not revealed on who Thor actually is or who's holding the hammer now. And I like this issue a lot. I gave this a 4 out of 5. I kind of switched things around in this countdown at the last minute, you know, just because some people think that it was kind of a cop-out that we still didn't get to know the Thor, but I understand why. They kind of want to leave it a mystery for the reader, and you know, there's not many things that are left, you know, as a mystery in comics these days. As people that we have technology at our hands, we want to know everything right away. And what makes comics so good is that cliffhanger. And when you hear that something's going to come out and you want to know who it is, and you don't find out, I think it drives that mystery even further. And I think that's really, really good. And that's something you don't see in comics so often today. For instance, Captain America. Captain America, you already knew who the new captain was. Very predictable, yes, But what happens if it wasn't? But we already knew who it was because of the internet. And if the internet wasn't around, you would never know half the stuff that goes on in comics. So when they leave something a mystery, that for me is what makes the comic good, at least at this issue or the second issue. Now, if it's good in the future, that's a different story. But it's good now, and that's what matters on this week's countdown. That's why it came number 6, just right outside the top 5. And I give this one a 4 out of 5. All right. So now we go on to the top 5. And let me gather those books up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. And number 5 was Death of Wolverine, issue number 3. This issue for me was good. I found myself not remembering who the end character was until I got a couple messages, and then it made sense. Cornelius, I think Abraham is the guy's name, which was the lead scientist of Weapon X. So, which makes sense that Wolverine wants to go after him, and he was left, hanging at the end of this issue to make a decision on leaving the battle or going forward and pushing with it. Yuga made a proposal to him. This issue was cool because I liked the battle scenes in the beginning with Deathstrike and Kitty Pryde in here. When you think it was Kitty Pryde, and then you wind up finding the revelation that it wasn't Kitty, and that she was possessed in here. Especially right after they shared a kiss. Then you knew something was off. You're like, oh, what's going on there? And then you get to see this battle erupt between the two. You get to see Logan get armored up. And then the part that I didn't like was the Yogan moment here, or Ugan, or however you say his name. I'm not exactly sure how you say his name, where he possesses some random guy, and he winds up saying, he winds up killing Cyber, and he winds up going, well, I'll release this vessel, and you can just go, and I'll give you some regeneration serum, so you don't have to fight the Collector, which he's also known as. And he kind of goes, or you can go after him, And it's kind of like, well, it's this random guy. I mean, it's kind of like, it doesn't feel like he had much of a choice. Go after the bad guy, The dude that he left there just was meaningless. I felt that maybe that if he kept possession of Kitty Pryde, even though he was at a weakened state at that point, would have been much more meaningful for him to make a decision. Should I go after the Collector, or should I let Kitty Pryde live? So that's where I found my little difference there. So, but he makes a decision to go after him, and the stage is set now for who's going to kill Wolverine, or at least we think so, or how he's going to die. We'll see. But I enjoyed this issue. The series has been solid. The artwork's been good. Charles Soule's done a wonderful job. I give it a 4 out of 5. All right. Next, we're going to go on to our top 4. In our number 4 book this week was Green Arrow, issue number 35. New creative team on Green Arrow, and I like it. I really enjoyed it. I actually like it better than Jeff Lemire's run, just based off of this first issue. It has a lot to do with the TV show, because Felicity is being involved in here, and I love Felicity as a character. But I love the artwork. I love Jeff Lemire. I like the art style in the last run of Green Arrow. I thought it was kind of revolutionary, different, but it was very dark, and it was hard to see what was going on at times. Where here you get the much more comic-like effect here. You can see what's going on, and I think it fits the character differently or better in here. So, for instance, you got this page here, which is really well done in action scenes. However, my gripe about the same thing with the artwork is the characters' faces in here, too. I think it's kind of inconsistent when it comes to, like, Ollie's face here. It just looked a little pudgy. Lex Luthor looks doped up. I just didn't like the face. Like, look at his face. Look at his eyes. I just didn't like the facial expressions in here. And I've always said in my reviews that facial expressions really make the book. And it just didn't go at times. Here was a better facial expression. And so there's where the artwork seemed inconsistent. At times it was really good, and at times it was just okay. One of the best pictures was obviously the end, which was Felicity sitting here and watching Green Arrow, and I thought she looked gorgeous, and it was just awesome to see her there. It was a great cliffhanger. The story itself was really well done. You get to see Ollie go through and beat some common criminals, some thugs or whatnot. And then you get to see, Diggle in the book, and you get to see him recovering from his injuries. You find out that one of his clinics are underfunded, that the city is being corrupt, and that he must take control of his city. And then you wind up seeing Bruce Wayne and Lex Luthor come together and actually try to combine all three of their companies: Bruce Wayne, LexCorp, and Queen Industries. And when I read this before Justice League, and I'm like, why is Bruce Wayne doing business with LexCorp? I'm like, he would never do that. Like, I understand keeping your friends closer and your enemies closer, but you're going to combine your companies together and do this? I was like, this is so weird. So, and then when I read the Justice League, it kind of makes more sense, but I still kind of don't agree with it, in my opinion. I don't think Bruce would really go and do that. So then you wind up seeing that the thugs winds up talking with, I think his name was Mr. King, or whatever it was, and he winds up revealing a particular name, and it was interesting. It was a good issue here, and I really enjoyed it. And I think that this series has a lot to offer going in the future. Sorry, I'm kind of shady on this one. I read this one like last week, so but after reading this one, I gave this one a 4 out of 5 as well. Okay, going on now, we're going to go on to our top 3, and our number 3 book this week was The Walking Dead issue number 132, otherwise known as Happiness. That's right, fans. And in this actual book, you wind up thinking that everything's all happy-go-lucky. Carl and Rick are together. They're sitting in the hilltop, and the sun is setting. And then all of a sudden, you get to see the guy that was sent out to rescue one of their comrades come face to face with a ton of zombies, and he's getting captured, and he's getting sliced and diced at. And it was very interesting to see this group work together, take out just your common zombie. They got this thing down pat, man. They know how to stop them. They know what triggers them. They know everything. But what happens when all of a sudden the dead start talking, and they say, they are good. They're very good. And they start slicing you with a knife. And as a reader here, you're like, what the hell is going on? But as the issue progresses, you wind up finding out it's these bad guys that are taking the zombie's skin and are wearing them as masks, and so they blend in with the dead so they don't get eaten, because they smell the rotted flesh all over them, so they won't get eaten. And they're also, I guess, they're enemies as well, because I don't know, they don't look too inviting to talk to when you're getting swords against each other. So once we see Dante take out one of these zombie guys, and he finds out who they are and reveals the mask, he winds up coming face to face with a few other of them that's got a double-barrel shotgun in his face. So this takes an interesting twist for The Walking Dead. I thought this was really well done. I think it will be interesting to see another new cast of members or gang in this book, and to see now how Rick and the group are going to deal with these people. They've had it so good for a couple years now. Do they even know how to fight or survive in the outside world? Yes, they're so structured against the regular typical zombie, but what about against humans and human thought? They could be a little bit soft there, and you don't know how many of these people there are out there. So again, there's another threat here for Rick and the group to overcome in the near future. So after giving this one, I gave this one a 4.5 out of 5 stars. All right, number 2 this week goes to Captain America, issue number 25. Now, same thing. I have not read this book in a very long time. However, I love the tone that this book brought to its readers. I love the fact that we get the revelation here of Falcon. Okay, and the big thing is what Marvel Comics did here was they made it a thing for Falcon to say, "There's not much big revelation here, is there?" Because for just like all our Marvel heroes, they all knew that the next Captain America was probably going to be Falcon. And even though he's wearing his Captain America mask, they knew who it was. And it was the same for the reader. The reader was like sitting there reading, going, well, we know it's going to be Falcon. So it was kind of like Marvel really poking fun at themselves there. Also, what was really good about this book was the humor. We got all the Avengers together to make this huge announcement that Steve Rogers was going to be, passing on the shield. And these characters come together, and all they're worried about is food. They're worried about pizza rolls. They're worried about chimichangas. Hulk makes the big confession that he ate the pizza rolls. And that is very Marvel-like comics. It's not dark. It has humor in there. And it was very uplifting type of issue, which was really nice to see. It has a little epilogue at the end and things of what's to come in the issue. And that's what I really enjoyed about it. Not every comic's got to be so dark or so grim and things like that. This had uplifting humor. I really enjoyed it. And I really appreciate how Marvel just kind of poked fun at itself there on the revelation of the new Captain America. I thought it was really fun. And, again, Hulk ate all the pizza rolls. So there you go. And Spider-Man made a confession that the chimichangas give him gas. So I thought it was kind of comical there, and it's stuff that you don't see that often anymore in these comic books. How all these heroes get together and have this large mass and discussion. So after reading that one, I gave it a 5 out of 5. I really enjoyed it, but that did not get my pick of the week. The pick of the week goes to Edge of Spider-Verse. I Walked with a Spider. Issue number 4. I thought this book was sick. I thought it was twisted version of Peter Parker, otherwise known as Patton. You get to see him as this, adopted, or he's in foster care with this uncle, and he has custody of him, and we get to see he does all these crazy science experiments, and he stalks Mary Jane, which her name is Sarah Jane in the issue. And we find out that Sarah Jane wants to use him for going on this field trip to release all these animals. But in the process, he winds up getting bitten by, yes, the radioactive spider. But this spider has a different twist, and it's going to change our main character in such a way that it's not even recognizable in the Spider-Man universe. Instead of using his powers for good, he uses his powers for evil, and he winds up capturing his uncle because his uncle beats him all the time and hits him with the belt. We wind up finding out that he has this uncontrollable urge to eat mice and dogs and cats and all this other stuff, and he gets more powerful as time goes, and the more he eats, the crazier his transformation becomes. And we get to see that he winds up becoming some insane creature like this, and you're just like, oh my god, and it's just twisted. And you find out the spider that bit him is a spider. When it bites you, it releases its eggs inside of you. So he winds up going to kiss Mary Jane or Sarah Jane and bites her in the neck, and he's using them all as science experiments, and it's sick. And she winds up slapping him in the face, and you see the transformation complete. He rips his face apart. He becomes this crazy-ass creature. This so reminds me of the 1980s movie of The Fly, where you got to see the transformation, the metamorphosis from the human to the fly. And this is the same thing, except he becomes this creature. And Mary Jane winds up going running. She goes into his room. You get to see the revelation of all the people and animals that he's been eating, and the uncle sitting there, lying there on the bed, and all of a sudden spiders start coming out of his mouth, and it's just insane. Next thing you wind up seeing is Moreland winds up coming, and he winds up, I think, beating up or killing the Spider-Man himself. He rips off his arm, he winds up sucking his soul, and Mary Jane winds up running away. She's like, it's just a dream, it's just a dream. She winds up going to bed, and she winds up waking up at night, and she sees the bite on her neck, and you see this lump on there, and you wind up seeing that the spider comes out of the little gaping hole, and the spiders come out of her mouth, and that's how the freaking issue ends. And you're like, holy crap, is that how that ends? I've never seen a book like that done before in a Spider-Man comic. That's dark. That's twisted. That's a Halloween issue for you. Where unlike this book, it did not provide that horror that I was looking for from a Halloween issue. I expected something a little bit darker here. Spider-Verse provided that, got me in the mood for Halloween. This book got me a 5 out of 5 stars. This was an interesting twist to the Spider-Man character that we've never seen before. This was fantastic, and this is what got my #1 pick of the week, guys. And there you have it. There's the countdown for the week. 35 minutes later. Guys, as always, leave me your comments below. I love seeing the comments of what you think of particular comic books, what you agree on, what you disagree on. Tell me what your worst comic of the week was, what your favorite comic book of the week was, everything else in between. And guys, as always, thank you for watching Comic Book Corner 2.0. And until the next comic book review, this is Mike Spider Slayer signing off. Thanks for watching.